Good evening, everyone. How are you doing tonight? Hope everyone had a great day today. And we are back for Sabbath School with Friends. I am your moderator slash host, Mr. Michael DeVernay. And tonight I have someone very dear to me, very special to me, that will be doing the lesson with me tonight. Her name is Mrs. Nadej Duvernay.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Renewed Ministry viewers.
Oh, you see, we got the things that, we got the applause. Everybody applauded for you. Good to see you tonight. But I know you probably like this one better. How you doing, Dodge?
Good. How are you, babe?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Uh, we're back again, me and you. It's always fun having us as the panelists for Sabbath School of Friends because behind the scenes we discuss the lesson a lot, and we sometimes don't agree on everything, and we also like to show each other our point of views on how we see the lesson. And I think today is no different, and we have an amazing lesson, and I think this lesson is
Yes.
one of those
It's a cute one.
timely lessons, right?
Yeah.
For our community, our denomination. Last week, they had the one that they mentioned was living with Christ last week, and this week they have living with each other,
Mhm.
right? And I think the lesson is taking these steps in a sense where they want to go a particular place. Um, and to be honest with you, sometimes the last week was very eye opening because the amount of stuff that they spoke on about how renewing yourselves, how changing your views on things, being nice, being compassionate to people. And then the sad part is everybody was focused on the music aspect of what Apostle Paul said in the thing, and that kind of like covered majority of the lesson. Like they really made that the initial point, and I'm like, there's so much other things that happen in that lesson, and it's music la no focus, you know. So now, again, this week, Apostle Paul didn't mention anything about music. It's actually talking about us living with each other, right? So let's go. Let's start with Saturday. Let's first let's talk about the memory verse. All right, the memory text is found in Colossians 4 verse 6, and it reads in the New King James Version: "Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one."
Mm.
Galatians 4 verse 6: "Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one."
That spoke to me
Mm-hmm.
um, because sometimes you speak to someone and your first reaction, you want to respond to them in the same way that they spoke to you.
Mm.
God is still working on me.
Hey, hey.
And this verse really spoke to me because I think for me, I need to take a minute to ensure that my response is Christ like, even if that's not the emotion that I have at that moment. But I, my response and my engagement with people needs to reflect the love of God. So, and I think that your words, um, what the verse is also saying is that your words needs to be a testimony of Christ.
Mm.
Hmm.
Right, right. So I'm about to ask you a question, right? Based off of that, right? My first question to you is, who's harder to deal with? Family, church people, or co-workers? I want to hear your take on that.
Definitely church members. I rather engage with my family, my
Mhm.
coworkers 10 times over.
Mm.
Definitely, definitely, definitely 1000%. Church members are the people that I need to speak with grace, hold my tongue, think before I speak,
Mm.
because I feel like that particular group of people test you and get you there. So,
Yeah, I think what you said is about the same, but I see it a different way, right? There, like we look at our family, we know our family, we interact with our family, and we have a great relationship. Thank God we have a great relationship with our
mhm,
family. And oftentimes, I believe you could be yourself with your family, right? And they know you because they've been around you for so long. They know what you're about. They know exactly, what you will say, what you're capable of, and with your coworkers, there's something that is intangible that you're actually gonna get, right? Because you know that you have to play nice with them because you got to pay. You got to get paid, right? What fait quoi? Parce que I mean, there's so that's that thing that kind of allow you for you to just sit back and take a pause. Even at work, you have to take a pause and really think before you speak because you don't want to ruin that flow of income.
mhm,
You don't want to ruin that promotion. You don't want to you redoing your work character because everybody has a work character. So you're absolutely right. I think one of the hardest people to deal with is church members. However, there's something else that we have to remember that by dealing with the members of our church, we also have a bigger um goal in mind, right? Our goal is to make it to heaven. So isn't that a little bit more pricier than a flow of income from a job? What are your thoughts?
yeah, I feel like as a church goer and a church member, and it says in Saturday's lesson that we have to live and work together and be in community with each other.
Right.
So it's important for us to get along. And it's important for us to get along without any strings attached, without a paycheck, without
Mm,
a, promotion attached, without being family, right? We are brothers and sisters in Christ.
yeah.
And because we are living in this community together, we ought to get along. We
Yeah.
ought to actually like each other.
Hmm. And I also think in Apostle Paul, what one thing that he says too, and it goes beyond just treating people right, but I think it also I'm big on paying attention to people, right?
Mhm,
You know that I pay attention a lot to people and how they interact with others based off how you operate, based on how you treat other people. That's basically going to give me an idea of who you are, right? It's going to give me that like okay, that picture of who you really are, right? And that's why the Apostle Paul mentioned in Colossians that Christianity should not just be shown by your belief. It shouldn't be something because you believe in that. Like we always say, someone comes and they come to Sabbath on time, they go to Sabbath school, they're in lay activities, they're part of the Sis Pousis, they're part of the midnight prayer, they're part of a jeûne, but yet their attitude is terrible.
mhm,
Terrible. So if doing all of that and you still have a terrible attitude, est-ce que ça veut dire que mon diable travaille sur vous toujours? Is God still working on you? Or we should also offer grace, just like God offers grace to offer us grace daily. We need to offer grace to individuals as such.
mhm.
Would you agree?
Definitely, definitely. And I think that Paul definitely showcased the difference as a Christian and folks that lived in the Roman culture, and how we should have a Christ way of
Hmm.
living, and
Christ-like
it
way of
should be
living.
radically different from how the Romans lived.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and people should see that immediately.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point, because I think we're gonna get into that in later on the lesson, that he was comparing, how we should live compared to the Roman family. How is our instruction? We're gonna get into that further into the lesson. So now we're gonna transition to the Sunday part, right? Sunday part talks about husband and wives. So
Mm,
now, can I be honest with y'all? I'm gonna tell you a little secret, right?
what?
I really wanted to have do this lesson with you this week.
Oh, whoa.
I really wanted to for us to do it together. I had someone else I was thinking of that was gonna come on, but I was like, you know what, let's hold them off for now. I was like, let me see if Nadesh would come on, and you did. So thank God you came on, because I think it's something that we speak on often, but yet it's kind of like, people are always gonna say, it's one thing for you to speak on it, but are you actually that type of person, right? It's one thing for you to speak on it, and again, Bible it's unfiltered, this is uncensored, this is live. So n'importe Bible game vous dire ma m'prem prendre, okay? But I want your honest opinion on it, to let me know, your thoughts on that part, right?
Mhm.
And Sunday's part, husband and wives, it starts with um the first portion of it, right? Where in Galatians 3 verse 18 and 19, um, and it asks that question. It says, what balance do you see? What additional counsel does Paul give? Okay, so we're gonna read that in Colossians 3, Colossiens 3 verset 18. Um, it says, wife, submit yourselves to your husband as is fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wife and do not be bitter towards them. Do not be bitter towards them. In Ephesians 5, verse 25, it says, husband, love your wife just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. Now, I guess the question asks, what balance do you see? You know, what balance do you see? And I think oftentimes this verse is always taken out of context, because people use it in a sense to say, oh, et mesdames yo qui pourtant dit, right? Mesdames yo, tout ça mari ou dit pour dire, c'est faut qu'on fait. Like everything that your husband tell you to do, you should do it. But the balance is that in Ephesians 5, it also says, husband, love your wife just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, listen, it is a easy balance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For the gentlemen that are going to be watching this show,
Messieurs suivez, messieurs suivez. Et pas
it
moi dire
is
non.
so easy when they talk about wives submitting. They're not talking about slavery. They're not
Mm-mm.
talking about this person being a robot. If you are a loving husband
Mm.
and you love your wife, and when they say husbands love your wife like Christ loved the church, Christ died for us.
Hmm.
So if you love me like Christ loved the church,
Wow.
as a woman, pa gen bagay m pa fe pou ou.
Mm. Mm. Yes.
Okay? And that's easy. I don't understand why I feel like some men make it so hard and so difficult. It's kind of like they want to gain the respect, they want to gain the authority without the love, without the
Mm.
kindness, without the gentleness, without the compassion.
Mm.
It's like we as women, we owe that to them because they're our husbands, right? So women, pick a man that's going to love you like Jesus loved the church.
Amen. Amen.
If you pick a wrong person, or if you didn't wait for God to give you that person that belonged to you, you're going to fall in these situations, in these traps where men are quoting wives should submit to their husbands and all of this nonsense. But if someone is Christ-like, if there is a man that fears God, he is going to understand that my wife is such a precious gift from the Lord. And I need to love on her. I need to make sure that she's the queen. I need to make sure, as the king, that my wife is priority. And when that happens, there is a balance, because then your wife will respect you. Your wife will love you. Your wife will make sure that you are also happy, right? There is that balance if there each partner plays their part.
True. And I also think too, and to your point, I mean, although you talk about the men, but there's also the women have a role to play. And
Mhm.
as you can see, as of late, a lot of the roles, the gender roles have shifted in our society, and meaning that a lot of women are very how do I say it? I don't want without being disrespectful. They have a lot of masculine energy, meaning that they believe they do.
You
Some
about to
women
get in
have a
trouble.
I'm it's being honest though. I'm being honest, right? They have masculine energy where they don't allow for the man to lead them, because they themselves are thinking, oh yeah, I could do this myself, I could do this on my own. And I always make not fun, but I jokingly always say when it snows in the Northeast that all the independent women, the single independent women, you cap shovel snow, right? And to your point, like you said, just like similar to how you want the husband to be caring and be nurturing, the woman also has to be caring and nurturing. I mean, I've seen some women disrespect their husbands, that me personally, but I'm big on respect. I'm big on respecting everybody. Say be back when I see women disrespecting men. I think that's something that is crazy. I think women should have that. You should see the softer side of women. Not saying you could have a woman that is tough, a woman that is that is about her business, but also we need to have that caring aspect, right? That caring aspect where the woman is also soft, right? She's soft. That she's not somebody that's so abrupt, somebody that's that's kind of like challenging everything that the men say. As men, as much as we're expected to lead, but we also expect someone to follow as well. And it makes when you have somebody that can that mutually love and make sacrifice, sometimes you have to go along with it, whether or not you feel as though I don't understand this or I don't understand that. But being a partner, a loving partner, you should be able to allow for your husband to lead.
Right. But I also want to say that sometimes those women that are tough, that are more um, edgier, or, uh, you know, um, we don't know what they've been through.
Right.
We don't know their situation or their life story that has caused them to be have their guard up,
Hmm.
or to be a little bit more tougher, right? But I feel like if the right man comes along, and the right man loves on that woman,
Hmm.
shows that woman true love, shows that woman that they can be soft, that they are safe with them. And I'm not talking about safe where, I will protect you from danger. I'm talking about I'm safe emotionally.
Hmm.
Um, and the toughest woman will, be softer,
Hmm.
will be more understanding, will be more caring and sharing, and love on her husband. But I think that God is also asking for men to be leaders in that way,
Right.
right? I
Right.
feel like there are so many men. We've had this conversation so many times, and this conversation comes up
Mm-hmm.
during church workshops and things of that nature. And there are men that, no offense, but there are men that are not leaders. There are men that are just
They
aren't,
followers.
huh?
What they followers?
Yeah, I mean, there's followers and there's leaders in the world, so you can't have all leaders,
You
but
know, yeah, there are men that are egotistical.
yeah. But I feel like there's men that, they want their wives to follow them no matter what. Even if they have the wrong answer, even if they're going to drive their family into financial ruin,
Mm.
even if they're going to do things that are against the Bible principles, they want the wives to follow them no matter what.
Right.
And in this lesson, Paul clearly says that a good wife, you are going to respect your husband, but you're not going to go against God. Your priority is God,
Right. You're not
right?
gonna follow. You're not gonna follow him blindly.
No,
Right.
absolutely not.
No.
And the Bible makes provisions for that. You're not going to follow your husband blindly if he is going to lead you in the wrong path. But there is conversation that if you are in a not a disagreement, but if you are discussing a challenge or a situation in the
Mhm.
household, and both of you see uh, different, you guys are both at the different ends of it. It is based off of our lesson. The wife should, listen to her husband,
Right.
follow her husband, you
Yeah,
know.
but I don't think
And
you
if
want
she
that
is
though.
following
But
her husband, she should follow her husband because she says, listen, this is my idea, this is your idea. Since we can't see eye to eye, I will just concede to what your idea is. Not necessarily saying, because we could go to his idea because we can't see eye to eye and it doesn't work. And then a loving husband will say, all right, well, we tried my idea. Let's go with yours, honey.
mm. But it's all about it's is mutuality, right? You have to have. I'm a person where I understand that I can't lead my family by myself, right? I can't lead our family, I should say. I can't lead our family by myself. I'm always going to ask you, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Hey, what are your thoughts on that? Right? Because again, it's a partnership. It's a partnership. It's a lot of things. Just like when the Apostle Paul mentioned that the husband love your wife as Christ loved the church. Right? Similarly, you gotta understand too when when you're doing something, when you want to do something, first person that you go to is who? Christ,
Mhm.
right? So if you give Christ that level of respect, which you should, everybody should, I think the first person that you consult with any decision that you have to make going for your family, you have to consult Christ first, and He gives you the answer. But the same way that you go to Christ and speak to Him, you should also involve your wife and say, hey, listen, this is what I thought, this is what I think, what do you think, right? And the wife should be honest enough. Your wife shouldn't, again, follow blindly. You should be able to say, you know what, I don't think we should do this, I don't think we should do that. And then both of us supposed to go and pray to God and ask God for guidance, right? Ask Him for guidance and say, hey, what should we do, right? We don't come to Him as me by myself. I come to Him as on behalf of my family. What should my family do, right? So that's the way I see it. But now let me ask you a question, right? Um, what makes a marriage feel like a team instead of a competition?
Instead of a competition.
Yes.
I mean, like you said, it's communication. Like in our marriage, for example,
Mm.
I think we talk to each other maybe 10 times a day.
That's not that much.
It feels like it
How many times is like, let me call you back?
because we're both working. So it's kind of like, call me
Right,
back, call me back.
let me call you back.
Right. But it's all about teamwork, is all about making sure that what is our vision for our family? What are
Right.
the goals for our family, right? We want to win as a family. And because we
Mhm.
want to win as a family, we got to collaborate together. We have to
Sure.
have the same, we have to be looking at the same plays, you know? We have to make sure that we're both doing our parts in the team to make sure that
Yeah.
we get the victory. So I feel like it's all about communication, it's all about seeing eye to eye, it's all about making sure that you and your partner are on the same playing field,
Mhm.
right? You can't be playing soccer and he's playing football.
Yeah, and
You guys
you
have to be really on the same team, seeing eye to eye, and above all, to be honest with you, love each other. I
Mhm.
cannot stress that enough. Like, if you love your partner and you truly love your partner, you are in love with your partner. Um, there isn't anything that you can't conquer.
True.
The other thing that you mentioned is speaking to each other and making sure that you come up with decisions. One of the things that the lesson also shares with us as well is not excluding our children from
Mm.
those discussions. That's
Right.
really important to making sure that there are some discussions that you and your husband may have that, excludes the children because they may not understand, or they may, it may be inappropriate.
Right.
But there are some discussions that you should have, with your children,
Mhm.
right? If you live in New Jersey and you're uprooting your family and going to Georgia, there should be conversation. Okay.
No. Yeah, then I guess that transitioned into Monday's lesson, parents and children, right?
Hmm.
Parents and children, and one of the texts that in there is Colossians 3 verse 20, which says, "Children, obey your parents in all things. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged."
Hmm.
And to your point, I think that's one of the things that we need to really, you know, start including our kids. And I'm not talking about us in general. I'm talking about everybody. And you're absolutely right. We need to be able to, if you're making a decision, like you literally want to move to, let's say, West Bubble, right? You want to move there, and you're not thinking about the kids emotionally, the friends that they have, or the relationship that they develop in their neighborhood, and you just uproot the kids, and then you put them somewhere, and then they don't know anybody any better, without even consulting the kids. Yes, you want the best for your children, but that it also has it causes an issue. It causes an issue for them. Because
Emotionally, that's
yeah,
like,
emotionally, yeah.
that's hurting their mental health. And I think
Mhm.
that especially in our community, we don't take into account our
Mm.
children's feelings,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think that, especially in the older generation, I think our generation is doing a better job. Can we
Mm.
do even
Yeah.
better? Absolutely. However, I feel like, you know, as parents, sometimes we don't take account our children's, mental health, our children's
Viewpoint.
emotions, and we have to take that into account. They have, in your family, your children should have voice and choice,
Mhm.
right? They may not have a right to make certain decisions, but if there is any way, in any circumstance where they can have a voice or a choice, you should give them that. What do they want to eat for breakfast? What restaurant do they want to go to?
Yeah, you don't wanna give
Where
that
do
to
they
'em.
want to go vacation? Where it's appropriate in your family, you should give your children choice and voice because they are part of your family. They're a vital, asset to your family. So it is really, really important to do that.
I must say though, when I was younger, I remember when my parents wanted to buy a house. They actually took me to the open houses of their home, and actually my my childhood home, actually, I was there the first time they visited. They
Nice.
visited that house, and I must say again, not everybody got the opportunity, but I know for my parents, when they were purchasing their home, my childhood home, I was there. I was there, and I went to it. And one of the and so to your point, we know it's very difficult raising kids. Raising kids is very
Mm,
difficult, and I think right now it's difficult, and they deal with this. We have to think of them emotionally. What they think, and we got to talk to them and ask them like, hey, there's different hear their viewpoints on certain things, right? Um, but it also says train up a child the way that he should go, and oftentimes the people take that that verse and they use it as like, okay, well, we need to tell the children exactly what to do. You're the parent, you need to control this. No, it shouldn't be like that. Oftentimes, listen, I've seen it so many times. the, I can honestly say that the kids that were always um as soon as church, and I guess I'm talking about my community, when church was done and their parents took them and put them in the car and left, the kids didn't participate in pathfinders, the kids didn't participate in no activities. Majority of these kids are no longer in the church because the parent themselves thought they was protecting their kid by separating them from everybody else, right? And then a lot of them, oftentimes, that they was like, they already by themselves, they know that they're not going to participate in anything. No parents wanted to get them involved, and some parents thinking that they were doing a great thing, but they were actually hurting their kid, right?
right.
And
I
and
wanted to say too
mhm,
that when they say train up a child in the way that he should go,
mhm,
I take that as, and I think that it's important for us to know that train up a child means you're training up your child consistently. You're training up your child intentionally.
mhm,
The thought of when Dios will fair, they have to do this, they have to do that, and one day it'll make sense to them.
mm,
That's not, to me, that's not what this the Bible verse is telling us. It's basically saying train up your child in the way that they should go. So as your child is growing up in your household, be intentional about how you're teaching your child. Be consistent in the things that you are doing, right? So that they know the way to go. To me, I think that it's all about being intentional. It's all about being consistent, and it's all about being a role model,
right.
right? I feel like sometimes, especially in our community or our parents, they would tell us not to do something, but then they
Yeah,
did it.
yeah, yeah.
Tell us, don't go there, but they went. They would
Right.
tell us, don't speak to that person or don't do that, but they did it. And it was very confusing. And it's very confusing for children when you're preaching one thing, but they're not living that, with you.
And also too, it's in training up a child. If you're training somebody, you're showing them what to do, right?
Hmm.
And oftentimes, a lot of time, parents they tend to withhold information from their children, right? Just like you said, you go back up and you say, "Don't do this, don't do that." Okay, and then instead of them saying, "Listen, this is the reason why you shouldn't do this," because I've had an experience like that when I was younger, and this is what happened to me. So this is the reason why I'm trying to protect you, so you don't make the same mistake as I made. Parents oftentimes they don't want to admit that they made a mistake.
Hmm.
They never tell their children, "Hey, listen, I made this mistake,
Hmm.
and I apologize. This is my mistake." And not every parent are able to say, "I'm sorry." They're not able to apologize to their kid. So if you're training up your kid and you never apologize, you're gonna train up a kid that never apologizes for anything.
Right.
They feel as though that, hey, well, you could do whatever I want. I don't need to
I
apologize to
said what I
my
said. I did
parents. I
what I
said what I said.
did.
I'm so kote I'm going to I'm so Jeremy. I'm so au cap, I'm so Porto Prince. Or going to guess me. Your kid's gonna grow up the same way because you failed to train them properly to show them like, hey, listen, it's okay for us to say I'm sorry. It's okay to say, listen, I was wrong, right? And another part of the verse that I think a lot of people missed is when it says, "Fathers, not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged."
Hmm.
Lest they become discouraged. So basically, if my son or daughter, right, they get to a point where they feel as though that they can't do certain things, they can't do certain things, they feel like they're failing. I, as a parent, has been given the authority for me to continue to provoke them, right? Not to provoke them to make them feel bad, but to provoke them to encourage them, to make them know, to let them know that, listen, You could do this. You could do that. I'm not provoking them to say, "Oh, you're terrible." Da, 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 da. Like, even for we're talking about our oldest, right? When he in his competitions, he said, "Oh, Dad, this person, this." I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, no matter what their rank is, right? Focus on every person has a bad day, and that day that the number one ranked kid in the state, he's gonna have a bad day, and that could be the day that you're gonna be wrestling him, and then you can probably beat him, right? So in a sense, I'm provoking them, but I'm provoking them in a way to encourage him to know that he could do better, right? And that's one part that says, do not provoke their children. You should be able to, you could talk to your children, you could discipline your children, but also in a sense, you can't, when they said don't provoke them, don't force them to do something that they don't want to do. Like uposo ka Batman, vin Batman, that's you provoking your child. That's how you provoke your child.
Yeah, I was gonna say the
Hmm.
word do not provoke. I'm interested, and I will
Hmm.
be listening in on the uh, Sabbath
The
school
classes,
class and the monite to really hear what they say about that because
they might blame it on music. Sorry.
the
So,
the reason I'm saying that is because growing up,
mm,
I mean, Haitian parents were like, they're the biggest provokers ever. The things that come out of their mouth,
yeah.
it is horrid, So sometimes I feel like we have so much trauma
Mm,
from the things that they say to us. And then they say something that would provoke us, that would make us angry, or that would, kick us when we're down. We can't get mad. We can't cry. We can't get
no.
upset with them. I mean,
And then your fin do they tell you the worst thing, and then they offer you food.
right, to console you.
So
Me,
you
I never eat it. I'm like, no, I'm not hungry. Thank you. I will go to sleep hungry. You hear me? I
you
will go
see.
to sleep
See,
hungry.
you're about to be trained new, but you're not supposed to. You're supposed to say apology. You gotta apologize. You gotta say, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did this," so that
Nah,
way you
I
could.
wasn't that kid.
Oh my gosh,
Nah, I wasn't that kid.
Lord. What because the Sabbath School Element Illuminati. Um,
one
yeah.
of the
So.
other one of the other things too in the
Mhm,
lesson, it talks about the principles are given, what principles are given for raising children. One of them that we just talked about is
mhm,
training up a child in the way that he should go. The other one is Matthew 19 verse 14, let the little children come to me.
yeah.
And that really speaks about making sure that we are not blocking our children's spiritual growth.
Mm,
Making sure, and you kind of talked about this a little bit, making sure that as children are growing up, we're encouraging them to connect with God. We're
mhm,
encouraging them to be involved in church activities because we want them to seek God and make a connection to
yeah.
God. So,
Yeah.
as a parent, it's really, really important to ensure that as your children is growing up in church, in your
Mhm,
home, in your community, that you are providing those opportunities of connection.
yeah. And also to your point, right? And when you said let the little children come to me, that's God that's telling us that. God's telling us let the children come to me. Because the children are so naive, and they see they whatever they see that they're gonna emulate, right? And this is why oftentimes that parents feel as though, and this is one of the biggest issues that I have, is that parents get upset about how a kid behave, and when you look closely, oftentimes the children are behaving, or they learn the they're showing you the behavioral pattern of their mother or father,
Right.
right? so
Yeah, we see
so
it all the
so
time.
automatically you're thinking that, oh yeah, timon number guy, timon number V, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Okay.
Mhm.
If you really look at it, there's a lot of kids, pangayo, they saying, oh, their parents are doing this or their parent doing that. But when you really look at it, the kids are the spitting image, spitting character of their parents. So
Mhm.
it tells you this: children will look at what you do, they will follow you, and they will replicate whatever you do. If you're someone that's loving, that's caring, that wants to help people, then your children are going to be those that are thoughtful, they're going to be caring, and they're going to want everybody. But if you're acting like you hate everyone, everyone sucks, you don't want to be around nobody, guess what? Your children's going to develop that habit without you knowing. And then leo tetamba you keep you, then you're going to be like, oh, what happened? It's
It's
because
the
your
church's
attitude.
fault.
It's your fault, your attitude. So as parents, we need to be careful. We need to be careful as how we act, right, in front of our kids and what we say, and we have to be very mindful. And whoever's listening to us, um, even if you have an issue with the something with the church or somebody in the church, please don't discuss it in front of the children.
Yes.
Please don't
Don't
discuss
do
it in
it.
front of the children. Don't go ahead and apale mun mal de motsi munyo,
Mm,
because what's gonna happen is this kid's gonna develop this thing, this hatred, unknowingly, to the person that you're talking about, right?
mhm.
If you're talking about somebody, if you want to talk to your sister, your husband, your your cousin, etc., about someone, please don't do it in front of the children, because you're gonna create this thing for this. They're gonna have this mindset where whatever person you was talking about, this person is bad, and they're going to ignore that person, and they're gonna go ahead try to treat that person just like you're treating the person. So be mindful of that as parents, okay? And
And
now which
also, one
Mhm.
thing before we move on, is saying the important role of a father,
Mm,
in the lives of their children, right? And in the lesson, it basically says that studies show that both parents can go to church, but there is a higher percentage of children remains churchgoers as opposed to if only one parent goes
mm,
to church.
right.
And even more surprising, the consistent church attendance by the father. So I
Wow,
think
that's
that
deep.
that's very important. Again, males, fathers, husbands, they have an important role when it comes to their wives as
Yeah.
well as their children.
Yeah. No, that's when I read that, I was like, man, it shows that, how much a family depends on the father. A father
Mhm,
that is involved,
mhm.
that is present. Um, because
Present. That is
yeah,
the key
a
word.
family that is present.
A father that is present. There's a lot of fathers that they are going to work every day.
Mm-hmm.
They are coming home every day, but they're not present in the home. They're not
Mm,
um, conversing with anybody in the house. They're not helping with homework. They're not cleaning up. There, it is just I
yeah.
came home, I eat dinner, I'm going to bed.
And then do it again the next day.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's one thing that we have to do better. And as a father, I think there's one thing which I try my best to try to be there for my kids. All of them. Even though your people don't be loud, they rather talk to their mom. They rather talk to their mom, come to them. When they but the girls,
The girls are
Leo
yours.
beze manger, you vin kote. What you vin kote. But we definitely as dads, and that's one thing. Shameless plug, but men's ministry. There's one thing that we want to be able to do, to have the men play a bigger role in their families' lives, right? We want them to be involved, not just to be the father, but to actually be involved father, where your child is doing something, you're the first one, rooting for them. They're participating in something, no matter how big or small it is, you there to support them. And I think that's one of the things that we need to focus on. Um, Focus on our children as dads, and also support them in everything that they do, because they won't remember you buying them $120 sneakers, but
Mm.
they will remember you showing up at their basketball game. They will remember you showing up at them, singing at a concert. They will remember them showing at maybe a football game.
Went
So
to
so
vacation.
yeah, we definitely, and being on vacation, going to them, create those memories with them. So dads have to definitely do that. Though time is flying. Oh my goodness. We're in Tuesday now. We're gonna have to skip to Tuesday, then go Wednesday, and then try to end it before Diesel. Okay. Tuesday, work relationship,
Mm.
faith at work. Now, I asked you the question before, and you said that who's more difficult to deal with, and you said church members,
Definitely.
and I agree. But at work also, we need to be able to have be that example at work, because at work we know we have different personalities, different individuals that are looking at you. Now, does your life at work reflects that of Christ, the Christ that you serve, right? In Galatians 3 verse 23, it says, whatever you do, do it hardly as to the Lord and not to man. And another supporting text says, give your bondservant what is just and fair, knowing you also have a master in heaven, right? It's telling you that, your people, if you're a boss, make sure you treat your employees fairly. Make sure
Because
you give them what they
you
deserve.
ultimately have a boss.
You say what?
I said it's saying it basically saying that if you are a boss, treat
Hmm.
your people fairly because you also have a boss, which is our Lord
Yes.
and Savior.
Hmm. Yeah. And I'm that's one thing that I'm big on. I'm big on treating people fairly, right? I'm big on doing going above and beyond for individuals to ensure that they're happy and show that we appreciate them, right?
Mhm,
And that's one thing. It also says, you know and you being at work, right?
mhm.
Would your coworkers know that you are Christian?
Well, for me, I think that absolutely. I feel like like for example, today we had a staff meeting
Hmm.
and um every day when we have our staff meetings, which is once a month, I will pray. We'll have our staff meetings. We'll talk about all of my directors
Hmm.
will give their reports, and then I'll say, okay, let's hold hands and let's pray so that the work that we're doing here,
Hmm.
God is pleased with it, and that we will
Wow.
continue to provide excellent service to our homeless community. Okay.
Wow.
Today I bought everybody lunch. We had a
Oh,
great time.
wow.
And one of my employees said, Miss Nadej, we forgot to pray. And I said,
Mm.
you're absolutely right. And then we
Wow.
stopped what we were doing and we prayed. And that just has become a habit in my office that when we have important meetings, we always pray because I believe that anything that we're doing, especially for the population that we're serving, we have to bring excellence and we have to bring the Lord in it. And I tell all my employees, if you are not a religious person, if you do not want to pray, you just stand there quietly.
Mm. Wow. Well, that's great. That's great. That's great. I mean, that's on your end. On my end, it's not as it's not as I can't go ahead and govern the room like that. But one of the things I said in the lesson mentioned, right, is the way that you comport yourself. Do people does that your character shows that you're a Christian? And I must say, from on my end, um, some of the compliments that I receive from people that not a part of my team, but other people that said that you're so kind.
Mm,
You're so kind. And this one lady always said that to me. It was like, we had IT guys and they were terrible. They didn't want to help anybody. They were frustrated they was screaming at people, but you are a little bit different. You come in and you actually shown a lot of patience. And I think you said that to me too. You said that to me like, man, how do you do it? How do you be able
yeah,
to
you're
talk to
very
people?
patient.
Yeah, I'm patient, but the thing is, it's also showing the characteristics, because I feel as though the same way that I'm at work, I think I'm like that at church as in a sense. I think I'm more vocal at work than I am at church.
We need a little bit of that at home.
Oh, I've more Nadesh. Nadesh, don't
What
do
did
it.
you say? This is a safe space, and you told me I could keep it real. Am I keeping it real or not?
Oh, I'm not vocal at home.
No, 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 not vocal. Patience.
Oh, patience. Oh, sapi mal. I'm not patient at home.
It could be a little bitter.
Nous voulons dire Nadège merci pour le participer avec nous à soir. Mbak, m'a invité au bac encore. pour reste année. How you say I don't have patience at home? You who cause it by what cause the business lah, man?
Okay, we'll get into it later.
What later? There's nothing later. Nothing. We finish this. I couldn't buy him. Stop stream now. Who cause this stream now? Merci, not that. Merci. Anyway, but like I said before, is we need to show our, based off of how we are, we need to be able to, for our coworkers, they need to be able to see that God lives in us, right? And we need to do that. And it goes further, as they say in the Bible, okay? You have to be able to come on and actually, show people that Christ live in you. All right. And and which brings us to another part. Let's go through Wednesday, praying for each other.
Mm,
Praying for each other. When you the honesty is the best policy. Who to honest you the- Well, thank you.
thank you. Who said that?
I don't know, it's Marie EU6 VR. I'm going to see some
Okay,
vrai
thank
monde ou
you,
bien son
Marie.
AI. I'm going
He said I could be honest, so I told him just a little bit more patience with me and the kids.
to retourner là-dedans encore.
Okay, we're closing that door.
Okay. All right, let's go to praying for each other. Yo, what time the choisi was praying for each other, praying
Mhm.
for each other, and Colossians 4. I'm struggling with that word. You realize I say Colossians. These people are probably killing me in the comments. Oh, it's Marie Jonah. Hey, Marie.
Hey, Marie.
So Galatians 4 verse 2 says, "Continue earnestly in prayer, being vigilant in it with thanksgiving." And that's one thing I believe, and I must say that in our community, and when I say community, I mean our church community and our family. That's one thing that we strive in and actually praying for one another. I must say that that's one thing I could count on my hands. I know so many. Actually, I can't count on my hands how many people have told me, "Hey, you know what? We're praying for you. We're praying for your family. Thank you for being who you are." And that's one thing that we need to do. We need to continue to pray for our individuals, even those that we don't get along with, even those that we don't see eye to eye with, but just continue to pray for them. Like me, I think now I understand a little bit better as far as life, that just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean that you have to hate the person, right?
Mm,
You
mhm.
can, and that's something that I actually understand now, where I don't have to. I'm not gonna hate you because we don't we disagree on something, because I feel as though the world, the way that it moves, is because one or two people had a disagreement, and one was like, okay, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. Imagine if everybody agreed on just riding a horse. We probably would still be riding horses, but somebody was like, nah, we need to build, a thing that could put, we could put four wheels on it, and then they make it roll, and because of that, someone developed the car, and internet and the computer and the platform that we are. Somebody's like, you know what, we're tired of Zoom, but let's go to Restream. These things these things are, what people are have created because there was a disagreement where someone was like, you know what, let's try to find something better. And one of the things that we had to do is, in 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 17, it says, we got to pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. It's like "nous pas qu'à stop prier." All right, we can't stop to we can't just stop to pray. We have to continue to pray, and ask God for guidance, and ask God for guidance, ask God for patience. Anything that we lack, we go and we ask God for it.
Right.
What?
I was gonna say too, like, for me, oh my goodness, all the little old ladies at the church, they always have a prayer list.
Mm.
I always go to each one of them, make sure my name is on that prayer list. Make sure my kid's name is on that prayer list. Make sure my family's name is on that prayer list. Prayer is so important. Like you said, as we get older, you realize how important it is. And one of the things that I want people to take away too, sometimes we say, somebody tells us something, we'll say, oh my goodness, I'm praying for you.
Mm.
And then we never pray for that person. We forget to pray for that person. We
Mm.
forget that person's situation.
Mhm.
But if we say that we're going to pray for someone, or we say that we learned that someone had surgery, or someone is sick, or
Yeah.
they lost their job, and you
Mhm.
say that, oh, I'm going to pray for you.
Yeah.
We really need to make sure that we go before God and we pray for that person. We just don't use those words, and
Mhm.
we're not actually doing it. Um,
Right.
I think is the important. And Paul also talked about ensuring that you may not have all the right words, right? You may not have all the right words, and what you want to say. You have to, when you're speaking, you don't have to be in a posture where you're kneeling all the time.
Mm-mm.
You're having a conversation with
Yeah.
God. You're talking to him. You're making sure that he understands what you are feeling, and that you are discussing what's happening with him, and you're discussing your wants and your needs. And it doesn't have to be eloquent. It doesn't have to sound like a poem. It doesn't
Mm.
have to have all these beautiful English words or French words. It just needs to be real.
Avec le Christ qui revient, je demande merci.
Exactly.
Never.
Exactly. I hate those.
Stop. Yamitindeo, Yamitindeo. Right. But but I think what you said is you hit right in the nail. Like we don't have to pray eloquently. God already knows what we're gonna pray about because
Mhm.
the konenu, right? We need to go to God in prayer. Listen, listen, I'm struggling with this. I need you to step in. Or I need this in my life. I need you to provide this for me. You see my financial struggles. I need you to make a way for me to take care of my bills. This like you have to come to God earnestly and also be honest. Be honest with him. He already knows. He already knows. And one of the things that that like you mentioned is that even Auntie Ellen mentioned and said, you know what, you don't have to, you know, be on, bow down on your knees to pray, right? And I think one of the things that even that we grew up on that, right? Mets ta genou pour me prier. Like I don't have to kneel to pray, right? I can literally stand up and talk to God, and even driving. I've 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 well every morning when I drop the kids off, we start off with song, we start off of psalms, and then after that we go into a prayer. If I pray, I'm still driving, but I'm talking out loud to God, asking him to watch over the children, watch over our family, watch over our people in our church, watch over those that are sick and shut in. All these people I cover, again, but God knows my heart. God knows who I'm praying for. And it says, when it says pray without ceasing, it's not for you to have a continual prayer or make your prayer long. Why is it for you to pray out long, long, long? But just pray. Just continue to pray throughout. Ask God anything you're about to do. Just put God in front. Put God first. Let him say, "Hey, listen, God, I'm about to get on this bus. Lord, be with me on this bus.
All
I'm
right.
about to get on this bike. Lord, be with me on this bike. In the car. Be with me in this car. Watch over these other drivers." And one of the prayers that I always pray for the kids, I always pray not just for my children, but I also pray the children that they're gonna be interacting with.
Mm, mhm, mhm,
Because just like I need to pray for my kids, those kids are also they need prayer as well, right? And that's something that we need to be able to do, and live as much as people that we can in prayer.
mhm.
Even those that we don't really quite get along with, lift them up in prayer. Parce que quand je me bon Dieu qu'a changé, bon Dieu a
Mhm.
changé. And that's one thing this year I'm not gonna be stressing about. Someone if you don't like me, I'm gonna kill you with kindness.
Yes,
I'm gonna
Lord.
kill you with kindness. I'm gonna be like you. I see you coming to that door. Trust me, I'm gonna be the first one to open that door for you. I'm like, here you go, my brother. Here you go, my sister.
Happy
That's the type I'm
Sabbath.
on. Huh?
Happy Sabbath.
Oh, happy Sabbath. Oh yeah, what a wonderful Sabbath. I'm gonna find you in the room and shake your hand.
But is it genuine?
It is genuine, in my opinion. Because the thing is, I'm not allowing the hatred that you spew to affect how I feel about you.
Right. So, okay. So someone is unkind
Mhm.
or doesn't like you. What you're saying is you want to behave in a way that you are killing them with kindness and being nice to them, and hopefully that will help them for you guys to connect, or you're being kind just to be kind, because it could be perceived that you're just being fake.
Well, for me, I think if I'm at a position where I know I did nothing to you, I know that I didn't offend you. In a sense, I have no way. I'm not gonna hold you in my heart. I'm not gonna hold you, and I'm gonna show you I'm the bigger person, right? By me doing it, I'm showing you I'm the bigger person. I'm not gonna be coming down my. Even though back in the day, I used to say, whatever elevator that you on, wherever floor you decide to go, I'm gonna go with you, right? But I'm gonna change that mindset now. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna allow my mental elevator to go down to the floor that you're on.
Good
You
for
see, I
you.
said going down. Body up, no, down, down. Okay. All right. So yeah, so let's let's we almost done. We it's 10:02. We're gonna try to finish in like 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Eight, yes, 7 minutes now because 10:03. And Thursday said walk in wisdom.
Mhm,
Walk in wisdom. And
mhm,
this goes back to what I was just saying earlier. Sometimes you don't allow people to make you come out of character. And
mhm,
you gotta walk in wisdom. You gotta make be able, that listen, I'm not gonna allow you to ruin my day. You're gonna come on the Sabbath day and then be upset at everybody. No, I'm not gonna allow for you to ruin my day. No way. Not possible. And
mhm.
that's why sometimes, and it says the lesson goes back and said your behavior is your loudest sermon.
Yes.
Your behavior, you see that goes into exactly flowing exactly what I was saying before, where I'm not gonna allow you to ruin my day. I'm gonna be cordial, I'm gonna be nice to you, I'm gonna be so nice to you that I'm gonna show you that, listen, Christ lives in me. No matter what you say about me, as long as I know it's not true, so I'm gonna treat you the best way I can. I'm gonna treat you with love and respect.
Yeah. I think one of the things, especially as Christians, I feel like non-believers watch Christians more than anybody else because
Mm,
they're waiting to see you do something wrong. They're waiting to see you behave poorly. They're waiting for you to treat your neighbor wrong because they want to say, look at that Christian, look at that follower of Christ. They're so fake, you know? And so that's why it's so important to be careful how you live. It's so important to ensure that um, you're mindful that people are watching how you live, because you are supposed to be someone that draws people to God, not
right.
push them away. And
Mm.
sometimes we're asking people to come to the church and to,
Ah.
come visit my church, and we have such a great service, and you should be part of this community.
Hmm.
But they see how you behave, they see where you go, they see how you speak, they see how you interact with people. They're like, ugh, I don't want to be associated with that, right?
Hmm.
So it's really, really important for us to think and be conscious of how we walk around in the world.
And to your point, is exactly why they're paying attention to you, because the time sometimes we as Christians, and I'm talking about our church, we're gonna we're gonna put a different mask on when it's evangelism time. We're gonna put a different mask on. We're gonna put a different tie on when we need these people to come to our church and when it's visitors day, right? And these people are looking at you like, I just saw how you was acting before, and now you want to invite me to your evangelistic series? No, thank you. I'm not
You're
coming.
acting crazy on the buffet line.
Oh, not yo, you want to say, they're not gonna take us seriously. I don't want to beat them, but that is true.
But
I
that
I
is
agree.
true. In
I agree.
the thing about it, people always think that how you live is in the big things. Mba lo club, mba fime,
Hmm.
mba jumbo
Boy.
alcohol, mba
Uh-huh.
in those big things. But yet they're nasty. They're
Mm.
yelling at in the buffet line. They're talking about what somebody is wearing. They are
They're cutting the line.
they're cutting the line. They're not being polite to the deacon and deaconess. They're
No.
talking about the pastor. Those
Mm.
things count as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Ya bloqué show, ya bloqué by no, parce que nous parler trop. And that's why it says, walk in wisdom. Be careful what you say. Be careful how you walk. Be careful how you move, because someone is paying attention
Mhm.
to you, and you need for your character to display that of Christ. All right. And Friday's thought, right? Friday's thought. It says one of the things I like. It says each member of the family should understand just the part he is expected to act in union with the others. All
Mhm.
from the child 6 years old and upward should understand that it is required of them to bear their share of life's burden. And we need to teach our kids that, you know what, life is not going to be easy. Life won't be easy, and we need to be able to go through life and understand that we need to um love one another. We need to lead with patience. We need to work with integrity, and we need to pray often, because that's the way that we're gonna continue to keep our sanity. Is the way that we're gonna continue to keep the characteristic of Christ. Okay. Now, it also mentioned that in one of the scriptures, in First Peter 2 verse 6, it says, "Live as free, yet not using liberty as a cloak for vice,
Mhm.
but as bond servant of God." It says, "Yeah, you're in this world. You could interact with people in this world, but just know that you are not of this world."
Mhm.
And we need to continue to use these things and use this lesson. I thank God for this lesson where Apostle Paul walks us through not only being in Christ, not only being complete in Christ, but also be able to live with one another, live with each one of us. We live with each other and be respectful, because again, we might have, we have the connection with God, right? But we need to also have the horizontal connection with man. And one of the things that when I said before we started, that if you look at the picture of the lesson, you see two different individuals, and God is standing right in the middle, or I should say Jesus is standing right in the middle. And both persons, if you look at it really, you'll see one look like they're the boss and one is the employee, but yet Christ, Jesus Christ, has his hands on both of their shoulders.
Mhm.
So it 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 got me thinking that living with each other is not just about, coexistence. It's about really loving one another and respecting one another, no matter what walks of life they come from. And I pray that, we continue to do our best to be individuals that loves people wholeheartedly. We're not fake about it. And I hope that, we continue to be, as Apostle Paul mentioned in this, in his epistles. All right. So I don't know. Do you have any more words? You think I said it all?
I think you said it all. Just one last thing
Uh
is,
huh.
like Auntie Ellen says, your home should be a little heaven on earth.
Yes. 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 We thank you all for being with us with Sabbath School with Friends. I'm not Michael DuVernay with Nadesh. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have a blessed end of the week. If you're worshiping on Saturday, happy Sabbath.
Happy
And we'll
Sabbath.
see you guys next week for the